Hello, and welcome to the podcast, episode 16, where today we're going to be discussing content creators. Before I start, Merry New Happy Year. Anyway, with that out of the way, I'm going to get started on this episode. So in this episode, I really wanted to talk about video, video content creation, that kind of form of content creation, mainly because it's the form of content creation that people get the most eccentric with. For obvious reasons, because they've got a camera and they're going to use all of the camera. Now, the reason why people use all of the camera and talk in a, loud, eccentric, and really, really excited voice is because it's how they get your attention. I talked about dopamine in episode. Sorry, I made myself laugh. I talked about dopamine in episode 4, social media, and you should be familiar with it because it's such a common thing nowadays, and it has been for a very long time. And if you have used YouTube for more than an hour, you should be extremely familiar with what I'm talking about. And I also kind of glossed over this subject, not really too much in detail in the YouTube episode, but I really only talked about the issues with YouTube rather than the issues with its community. Now, I'll admit, talking in a really eccentric voice is a brilliant way to get views and to get money because with a certain age and viewer base and subscriber count, you can get paid on YouTube. So the more views, the more money. Louder the voice, louder the comment section. And I don't want to just talk about YouTube's community because it does not end there. It is pretty much all of the video sharing platforms. Now, it's not all content creators, obviously, that use this form of video making. John Levy, for instance, one of the greatest YouTube creators of all time. Hey everyone, today we're going to be looking at this picture of a rock that was built during the Great Depression. And I think it's really interesting that this rock was built during the Great Depression because look at the rock next to it. It was built during the Black Plague. Now, the really annoying thing about these content creators that use this ear-piercing form of content creation is that a lot of the time it's used so frequently that a lot of the time it's applied to videos that you would think wouldn't have this kind of form of content creation. About a year ago, maybe a little more, I was watching a video on masculinity. And the introduction was a big muscular guy standing outside. And when you put it that way, it seems pretty normal. What is he standing in front of? About $200,000 worth of cars and about a $2 million property. And the camera zooms out on his entire property. It's like, dude, I'm just trying to figure out how I can eat some eggs so I can become more of a man. I don't care if you have a 100-acre property. Good for you. You did well in life and you're like 37. But I don't care. Another case of this is a YouTube channel. I won't say the name other than it starts with K and ends with Isle Royer. And this guy makes these really, really beautiful knives. You know, Damascus Hamon and really elegant handles and all of the everything that you would expect from a $20,000 knife. And he is kind of a victim to this loud, eccentric form of content creation. Not as much as a lot of people, but he still talks in a not normal voice. And whenever his face is on the camera, not looking at a knife, looking at the camera, eyebrows are raised, eyelids are wide, pearl white teeth are shown. And with this serial killer look on his face, next thing we're going to do is etch my logo onto this knife. The laugh is optional. But he makes up for it because honestly he makes some pretty cool stuff. Now a sad part about uh content creators is that a lot of the time they will start as, extremely civilized people that, talk in a normal voice, and, maybe they're, trying to teach people, whoever's watching, how to make a, nice little bracelet for Mother's Day, right? Well, let's say a few months later, they get 250,000 subscribers, and then the money starts getting to them. And instead of quality over quantity, it begins to go the other way around with quantity over quality. So that's the short summary of the sad demise of a content creator. That is really the uprise of a content creator. Now, recently the television was on at my house, and that's a weird way to start. That's a weird way to start something, but here we go. Recently the television was on, and at my house we use the Roku streaming service. So, we can use the Roku to, watch Amazon, Tubi, all of the everything. And if you own a Roku device, you will know that if you leave the remote on idle for a certain amount of time, a screensaver will play that rolls by, and it has a bunch of references to movies such as the Titanic, Batman, Spider-Man, Mary Poppins, and it also has a bunch of advertisements. So you can advertise your TV show, movie as the screensaver goes by. And it's not often that I realize that the advertisements are the same. They're the exact same. But in this instance, they were the exact same. And it was a advertisement for a channel or live stream called Mr. Beast. You've probably heard of him because he has 200 something million subscribers. Not that much. I'm sure I could do better, but it's likely that you've heard of him. And his form of content creation is donating absurdly large amounts to single people that compete in whatever challenge that he's doing. And in every single video he makes, I put 100,000 people inside of a circle, and the last one to leave gets $2. Not actually $2, it's usually a lot more than that, but you get my point. And I realized a pattern in his thumbnail making. They all have his face on them. He gave someone a private island. There's a picture of him on a helicopter pointing at the private island. He went to a bunch of expensive houses. There's a picture of him in a pool. And all of his thumbnails have been altered in a way that makes him look like he is a Barbie. He's got blushy cheeks, looks extremely pale, and his teeth are brighter than the sun. His most recent video to date, and it is January 17th, 2024. Merry New Happy Year. I've said that already. Protects $500,000. Keep it. Now, that was posted 4 days ago, and it already has 74 million views. Now, you start to wonder, how's he getting all this popularity? Is it just the form of his video making? Not exactly, because you look up Mr. Beast, and then you realize that he's got a bazillion different channels, some of which are for different languages, some of which are for specific specific things, such as watching YouTube Shorts, which is the most degenerate thing in the world. Some of which are for building schools for kids that can't go to school. It's just, when you look at it from a certain perspective, it looks really dumb. It just looks like some guy that is just really self-absorbed. But then you look at the view count, the subscriber count, the comment count, and you realize that this is really this is content that does really well for an obvious reason. He's doing something that a lot of people can't do, and it's giving away eccentric amounts of money. And the way that he can pay for it is that the subscriber count is allowing him to gain all that money right back instantly. And he is a victim to the ear piercing form of making videos. Now, the reason why both forms of doing videos, the ah that form versus the really calm and relaxed version, is because both are both are used in a way that perfectly fits the topic of the video. And nowadays, the the screaming form of making videos is so common that the calm videos are actually getting really popular. Oh, great. I'm starting to get Mr. Beast in my feed because I looked him up. Great. Anyway, now going back to what I said about putting someone's popular face on a thumbnail and getting a billion hits from it, some channels use that form of thumbnail making in in my opinion, really kind of almost evil way. So what a medium-sized organization, either a medium-sized organization, maybe even a small one, or maybe even a large one. A large organization that will upload to YouTube will use um will use someone else's face that, yes, is affiliated with that organization, but they're an extremely popular person that is associated with that organization, so they're going to use their face to their advantage to get hits. Motor Trend, for example. There's a channel on YouTube called Drive Tribe, which Jeremy Clarkson, James May, and Richard Hammond are associated with, and they're extremely popular. And they constantly put their faces in their thumbnails. And I won't go into why they're popular. If you don't know who they are, look it up. I'm not going to go into why. I've made a podcast video on it. But they are extremely popular people. So I mean, if you use their face making some weird inhumane expression, that's going to get a lot of hits. Now, if you want a perfect example of pretty much everything that I have talked about so far, a perfect um, example in the form of a YouTube channel would be Whistlin' Diesel. Whistlin' Diesel uploads extremely controversial content that revolves around destroying cars. This could be a car that is very difficult to find, such as a Dodge Demon that has been turned into a boat, or something that a stupid person would make, such as a squatted truck. He destroys pretty much everything. Now, his content went from being um, not exactly low budget because I mean he was able to afford a lot of cars and afford the destruction of them, but it is definitely low budget when compared to the kind of content that he makes now. He started off with his YouTube journey. Well, actually, he started his YouTube journey by uploading hunting content. But then he stopped for a few years, and then he began to record with his iPhone about destroying, various types of vehicles. And then he ended up firing one of his cameramen and hired um, a, a new camera guy that had a serious, I mean, full camera setup. And all of a sudden, Whistling Diesel was able to upload in 4K quality, and he was able to get some really good shots of cars before he destroyed them, of course. Now, recently, his subscriber count has kind of skyrocketed. I have been kind of following his content for about a year now, when he had 4 million subscribers, and now I believe he has 6 million. And during this time, I realized that he has begun to talk a lot more about money. For instance, I bought a $400,000 Ferrari just to destroy it. You could have you could have not have put the price. I mean, now while all of this money talk may be just a coincidence, I highly doubt it because there is a time where so many coincidences is too much. And then you look at his thumbnails and realize that his face is in all of them, or at least all of them that have been made within, say, a year or two. Now he has made thumbnails before where he does have his face in them, but it's usually just it's either a thumbnail that has been automatically generated, or it is a thumbnail of him driving. And there was even a time where his thumbnail changed from his logo to him. It was his face with some kind of bulletproof vest and a military helmet. But then he changed it to his monster truck. But yeah, if you want a perfect example of what I've been talking about, go on the Whistle and Diesel YouTube channel and you will find exactly what I'm talking about. I just realized I was kind of vague about the part where I said he has made thumbnails that have his face in them. What I meant to say is he has made thumbnails in the beginning of his YouTube career that have his face in them. So, with that, I think that is all I have to say. Have a good day, and don't be a nuisance.